Okay, so good morning to everyone. So let us begin today's lecture. So in the last lecture, we had started looking at the concept of a push-down automaton. So push-down automaton is another abstraction, right, of real-world programs, right, or real-world machines, and in its language-defining power, it's equivalent to context-free grammars, right, which means that the class of languages, right, that can be defined using push-down automatons is exactly the same as the class of context-free languages. So the languages for which there exists a context-free grammar. And so the basic idea of a push-down automaton is you can think of it as an epsilon NFA, but along with a stack that is attached to it. So just like an epsilon NFA, right? Push-down automaton has a bunch of states and then transitions between these states on inputs, on symbols of the input alphabet, as well as on epsilon. Right? But along with that, it also maintains this stack. Right? So at every move, right, or at every transition, it can also look at the top of the stack, and it can then pop whatever is there in the top of the stack and push a string onto the stack. So with the help of this extra capability, right, in terms of storing an unbounded amount of information on the stack, pushdown automaton is more powerful than an epsilon NFA. Right? So it can accept more languages uh, than the languages that an epsilon NFA can accept. Right? So we saw this with the help of an example. So we constructed the pushdown automaton for this the language 0 and 1n, right? Where the way we used the stack was that for every zero that we saw, we pushed a marker right onto the stack, so that the number of markers in the stack were the same as the number of zeros, and then for every one, we popped a marker from the stack, right? So that if we reach the end of the string, and if there are no more markers which are present on the stack, then that means that the number of zeros is equal to the number of ones. So that's how we can use the pushdown automaton in order to store extra information. Rather, that's how we can use the stack in order to store extra information, and that's how we can design a pushdown automaton. So, so then we also saw the concept of a configuration, which is nothing but the state, the string, the input string. So the state of the pushdown automaton, the input string that is yet to be processed, and the contents of the stack. Right? So these three components together form the configuration, right, of the pushdown automaton, and using this configuration, we can then define what is the language of the PDA, which is the set of strings from the input alphabet, which the PDA will accept. Right? So this is the last slide that we covered in the last lecture. So the common way to define the language of a PDA is by using the final state. Right? So remember that a PDA, right, is described formally by a 7-tuple. So there's a set of final states as well there. So one way to define the language of a PDA is by using the final state, and we say that so we use this notation L of P. Uh, so if P is a PDA, then L of P is the set of strings W which are accepted to the final state, which means that beginning from the start configuration. So the start configuration is that the state must be the start state, which is Q0. The entire word W is yet to be processed, and the contents of the stack must be the initial stack symbol, which is what. Right. So beginning from this configuration through a series of transitions, right? We must reach final state F, processing the entire word W, right, which means that the rest of the string to be processed is epsilon, and the contents of the stack are irrelevant, right? So for any alpha, if we can reach a final state after processing the entire string, then the string will be accepted, and all of those strings, right, will be present in this language L of P. Okay, so are there any questions from last lecture? Okay. Okay, so then let's move forward. So as I said, so this is one way to define the language of a PDA, but there is also another way to define the language of a PDA. And that is using this property of an empty stack. So the same PDA, right, can also define another language. And this is through the property of an empty stack, right? So here we don't care about the state that the PDA reaches, but we will accept a string if it can empty the stack. So formally, right? So if P is a PDA, then use this notation N of P to denote the set of strings W such that beginning from the start configuration, I must reach a configuration. So the start configuration as usual is Q0, W and what. So beginning from this configuration through a series of transitions, I must reach this state, right? So what is this state saying? So I can reach any state Q uh, of the PDA, right? But I must have processed the entire string, which means that the string yet to be processed is epsilon, and there must be nothing on the stack. So the stack contents must also be epsilon. So if the stack is empty, right, for any state Q, then I'm going to accept this string. So which means that if there is a sequence of moves, right, wherein I consume the entire string, right, and I also empty the contents of the stack, then I'm going to accept that particular string. Right? And here the state that the PDA ends up in is irrelevant. Right? So this is another way to define the language of a PDA. So the same PDA can define two languages. So L of P is the set of strings which will take the PDA to the final state, and N of P is the set of strings which is going to empty the stack, right, after processing the entire string. So these two languages may not be the same, right? They may be different. However, even though these two languages may be different, right, they are still so they are still going to be context-free languages, and we can show that if you have a PDA, right, and if you consider its language, let's say through the final state, then there also exists another PDA uh, whose language through the empty stack will be the same, and vice versa. So more formally, right? So if we have a PDA P, right, and let's say that we consider its language L of P, which is its language through the final state, right? So which means all the strings which take the PDA to the final state. So this language L of P, let's denote it by L. Okay. So then there is another PDA, which is P prime, such that this L is going to be the same as N of P prime, which means that the language of P prime through this empty stack is going to be the same as L. So the language of P prime through the empty stack is going to be the same as the language of P through the final state. And similarly, I can also make the statement the other way around, which is that if I consider the same PDAP, right, and I consider its language through the empty stack, which is this N of P. So if L is equal to N of P, then there is another PDA, which we call as P double prime. And the language of this P double prime through final state, right? So this L of P double prime is going to be the same as L. So again, right, so if we consider this PDAP, right, then it will have two different languages. Right? It defines two different languages, one through final state and one through the empty stack. However, if you take the language through the final state, right, then there exists another PDA whose language will be the same, but that language will be defined through the empty stack. And similarly, if you take the language of P through the empty stack, then there exists another PDA P double prime, such that L of P double prime, which means its language through the final state is going to be the same as L. So that's why we can freely use any of the definitions, right? Language definitions, whenever we are trying to construct a PDA for some given language. So if you're trying to construct a PDA for a given language, you can assume the acceptance criteria to be either through the final state or through the empty stack. So in the sense that you can design your PDA using either of these two criteria, and whatever criteria that you design with, right, there always exists another PDA which will also accept through the other criteria. So uh, we'll formally prove these two statements now. So we'll construct this PDA P prime and P double prime, uh, whose languages will be the same. So any questions so far? So as you will see, right, that for some languages, right, it's much easier to construct a PDA, say through the empty stack, right? While for some other languages, it's much easier to construct a PDA through the final state, right? So that's why we have this choice, right? So you can either construct a PDA using the final state criteria or using the empty stack criteria. Right. So let's prove the first statement, right, which is that if I am giving this PDAP, right, and I consider its language through the final state, then there is another PDAP prime whose language through the empty stack is going to be the same. So what do we want to do here, right? So I know that this PDAP, the strings in this L of P are going to be all of those strings which take which after processing the entire string, right, takes you to a final state uh, of P. But the stack contents are not constrained in this final state, right? So I can have arbitrary stack contents there. So what can I do uh, in order to so how can I construct this P prime, right? So that it will accept only those strings which P accepts through the final state, but it will accept them through an empty stack. Right? When the string is accepted, the stack is guaranteed to be empty. So, any suggestions for how we can construct this P prime? So let's say that after you process some string in P, right, in the PDAP, and you reach the final state, but the stack contents are not constrained, right? So the stack could either be empty or it could contain some string. So what can we do uh, if we want to make sure that that same string is accepted through an empty stack? So Vineet is saying that at final state we can empty the stack. Okay. Okay. So that's okay. So that's a suggestion, right? So this P prime. So let me just expand on the suggestion, right? So this P prime is going to behave the same as P, right? Uh, except that once you reach a final state in P, then this P prime is going to have more transitions, right? And in these transitions, it's so these will be epsilon transitions, and it's just going to empty the stack. Right? So for example, right? So let's say that F is a final state, then you're basically going to have this epsilon transitions, right? And irrespective of whatever is there on the stack, it's basically just going to empty it, right? So it's just going to pop out whatever is there on the top of the stack. Uh, right? And it will keep on doing this until there is nothing on the stack. So uh, okay, and we do this only when the final state is left. Okay, so is this correct, or is there one more issue that we need to worry about here? So it's so okay. So if a string, right, after processing a string in P, if I reach the final state, then this particular construction, right, this extra transitions that I'm adding is going to guarantee that it's that we are also going to empty the stack. So that's fine. Right? So which means that this L of P is going to be a subset of N of P prime. But remember that N of P prime is the set of all strings uh, which will empty the stack, right? Irrespective of what is the state. So that's how we defined N of P prime. Right? That N of P prime is the set of all strings which if you begin processing P prime on those strings, right? And after processing the entire string, if you empty the stack, then you're going to accept it. So there is an issue, right, with this particular construction. We need to do something more. Uh, yes. So Samuel Moses is saying that there may be other non-final states which have empty stack. Okay, so states don't have empty stack, but I'm assuming that what you mean, right, is that you may process a string, right? Let's say in P you process a string, right? And you end up in some non-final state, right? But the stack is empty. Right? So now since P prime is pretty much mimicking whatever P is doing, right? Except that it has this extra transitions from final states. P prime is also going to accept those strings as well, uh, where you ended up in a non-final state, but with an empty stack. So so you need to take care of those, right? Because you don't want to accept those strings. So so how do you make sure that we don't accept those strings? So the issue is that if after processing a string, right, you end up in a non-final state, but with an empty stack, then you don't want to accept it, right? So you don't want the stack to be empty at any other state except the final state. Okay, so yeah, that's correct. So Vinith is saying that we can add a symbol in the start. Okay, yeah, so that is what we will do, right? So in this P prime, right, we are going to add another symbol. Right? So in fact, so at the beginning, right, before processing any element of the string, or before processing any of the symbols from the input string, we are going to add a new bottom, right, into the stack, and then we are going to give the control to P. So this is how we will construct P prime. Right? So P prime will have a different start state, right? And the very first thing that it will do is that it will add a dummy bottom, right, into the stack, and then it will give the control to P. Right? And now only in the final state of P will we actually remove this dummy bottom, and at no other state we will remove the dummy bottom. Right? So even if P were to empty its stack, right, in a non-final state, this dummy bottom is still present, right? So in P prime, the stack is not empty. So that's how we can make sure that the language of P is the same as the language of this L of P is the same as N of P prime. So okay, so let's formalize this intuition, right? So as I said, P prime is going to mimic P, right? It's going to simulate P. And if P accepts a string, which means if after processing the string you end up in a final state, then P prime is going to empty its stack. However, as I said, P prime has to avoid accidentally emptying its stack at a non-final state. So since P prime is mimicking or simulating P may empty its stack at a non-final state, and P prime has to avoid doing that. So for this reason, it uses a special bottom marker to catch the case where P empties its stack without accepting. So we can formally construct P prime as follows, right? So P prime has all the states, symbols, and moves of P. So uh, so which means that states of P are Q, right? Symbols are epsilon and gamma, right? And the moves of P are delta. So all of these things are going to be present in P prime as well. However, P prime is going to have some more states, symbols, and moves. Right? So which are these extra uh, things, right? So we have an extra stack symbol, which is bot prime, right? So assume that bot is the stack is the initial or the start stack symbol of P. So P prime is going to have uh, another initial or start stack symbol, which is bot prime. Right? And this is used to guard against the stack bottom. Uh, So this is to guard the stack bottom against accidental emptying. So whenever P prime begins its execution, it's going to have in the start configuration, it's going to have this its own stack symbol, right? Bot prime on at the bottom of the stack. So there is a new start state S, and then there is a new erase state E, and what are the transitions from the start state? So this is so the start state S, right, of P prime has only one transition, right? And it's an epsilon transition, right? So without consuming any of the input symbols, if it sees a bot prime on the top of the stack, then it's going to move to Q0, right? So this Q0 is the start symbol of P, okay? And it's going to push P's bottom, right? P's initial stack symbol onto the stack. So that's why it's going to push it's going to push bot and then bot prime onto the stack. Okay? So Q0 is the start of P. Right? So this is where P starts. So we are going to add this new start state S, right? And then we are going to have this epsilon transition, right? Where it sees bot prime, and then it's going to push bot prime onto the stack. So after that, we have all the transitions of P, right? So P is basically going to get started after that. And from the final state, right, of P, we are going to add a transition to this erase state. So this is an extra move that we have added in P prime. Right? So if we are in the final state F, then there is an epsilon transition, irrespective of whatever is there on the stack. Okay, uh, and so this epsilon transition is going to move us to an erase state E. Okay? And then from this erase state, right, we are again going to have epsilon transition, simply popping whatever is there on the stack. Okay? So delta F epsilon X is the same as delta E epsilon X, which is the same as E comma epsilon. So this means I'm basically going to stay in the erase state, and I'm going to not push anything onto the stack. Right? So whatever is there on the top of the stack is going to be popped. So this means that if I reach a final state F of P, right, then I'm going to make this transition to the erase state of P prime, and I'm going to empty out the contents of the stack. Okay, which means that if I had actually processed the entire string in reaching the final state F, then that particular string is also going to empty the contents of the stack in P prime, and that's why it's going to be accepted by P prime. And if you have a non-final state, right? So if you end up in a non-final state, then there is no such transition, right? So even if P may empty its stack, this bot prime is still going to remain. So so that's why such string will not be accepted. So is the construction clear to everyone? Are there any questions? Okay. So now let's do the other direction, right, which is that if you have a PDA, P, right, and if you consider its language that it accepts through the empty stack, then there also exists another PDA P double prime, whose language L of P double prime, which means its language through the final state is going to be the same. So we are given this PDAP, right? And again, we are considering its language N of P, right? Which is the set of strings which empties the stack of P. So now how can I construct this P double prime such that the language of P double prime through its final states is going to be the same. So I have a string which empties the contents of stack in P, and I only want to accept those strings, right? So I need to somehow capture that the stack has been emptied, right, in P, so that I can transition to a specific state in P double prime, which would be the final state. So how would you go about doing this? Any suggestions? Okay, so here I have a suggestion from Vinny that we add a new bottom symbol at the start, and then we remove it from every state to a final state. Uh, so I don't understand this removing it from every state to a final state. So in the original PDAP, there is no final state. So whenever we actually accept to the empty stack criteria, right? There is no final state. So in P double prime, we first of all have to introduce a final state, and whenever a string reaches the final state, then in P double prime, then in P, its stack must have emptied. Okay, so Vinit is suggesting that we add a transition from every state that removes the new bottom and takes it to a new state f prime, which will mark as final. So this new bottom symbol, right? I'm assuming is not present in P double prime, right? It's only present in P. Sorry, it's not present in P, but it's present in P double prime. So P has its own bottom symbol, and you're saying that there is a new bottom symbol in P double prime. So none of the transitions of P are actually going to affect P double prime. Are actually going to affect this new bottom. So uh, so you're saying that you add a transition from every state that removes the new bottom. Okay, I see. So what you're saying is that if you are in an arbitrary state, right? So let's say that this bot prime, right, is the new bottom that you have added. So uh, so in the start, right? So let's say that Q0 as usual is the start state of P. So in P prime, I'm going to add this new bottom. Right? So once again, right? So there's epsilon bot prime and then bot prime, right? Assuming that bot is the original bottom, right? And then from any arbitrary state, right? Let's say Q, I'm basically going to so I will have the special final state F, which is present in P double prime, and then I'm going to add a transition, an epsilon transition, where if I reached empty, if the stack was emptied, right, which means that bot prime was present at the top of the stack, uh, then let's say I'm going to preserve bot prime, right, but I'm going to transition to F. So I'm assuming this is what you're suggesting, right? Okay, right. So now, whenever you process a string in P, right? So beginning from Q0, you process a string, and let's say that you reach some state where the stack is emptied, right? Uh, then, since the stack is empty, what prime must be present on the top of the stack? So that's why you will make this transition to F, which is the final state of P double prime, which means you will accept you will accept that particular string in P double prime. So any string that empties the stack in P is going to reach the final state uh, F in P double prime, and therefore it's going to be accepted, and vice versa, right? So if a string does reach the final state in P double prime, then it must have emptied the stack uh, in it must have emptied the stack in P. So yeah, so this construction is correct. Yeah, so let's formalize this. So so as we said, P double prime is basically going to simulate P, right? But so P double prime has this special bottom marker, and this is this bot prime, which is to catch the situation where P empties its stack. And if P empties its stack, then P double prime is going to accept by moving to a final state. So once again, so P double prime is going to have all the state symbols and moves of P. Plus, there's the special stack symbol dot prime, which is also the start stack symbol. There's a new start state S and a final state F. From the start state S, I'm going to make an epsilon transition to the start state Q0 of P. But I'm also going to push P's bottom, right, which is this bot, And then from any state q, right, in P, if I see mod prime on the top of the stack, then I'm going to move to this final state F. So this is so I'm going to do this for any state q of P, and this resulting P double prime, its language through final state is going to be the same as the language of P through empty stack. So this completes the proof that both the definitions of both the language definitions, right, either through empty stack or through the final state, are actually the same, right, in the sense that they don't give you more power. So it's not that the languages will be the same, right, but the class of languages that are defined is the same. Okay, so are there any questions regarding this construction? Okay, so let's actually also do some examples, right, of constructing PDAs for some languages. So we have constructed a PDA for this language 0 and 1n, right? Uh, so now uh, let's uh, let's do this example. Right? So let's say that I want to construct a PDA for this particular language, right? So this is the language of all strings over the binary alphabet, where the number of zeros, which N0W is the number of zeros, is the same as the number of ones. But there is no constraint on the ordering of zeros and ones. So they can be ordered in any way, but the number of zeros must be the same as the number of ones. So again, right? So I want some of you to help me in constructing this PDA. So I'll give you a couple of minutes, right? And then please raise your hand if you know the answer, so that we can construct it together. So you can either construct using empty stack, or you can construct using the final state. But in this case, the empty stack construction will be easier. So you can construct a PDA with just one state if you use the empty stack acceptance criteria. this construction is very similar to the 0 and 1 in that we saw. Okay? So since you only need to remember the number of zeros, and then yeah, so you only need to remember the number of zeros through the stack, and you can do this by simply pushing markers right onto the stack whenever you see a 0. So let me just do it right, so that I think some of you are not yeah, so not done it. So let's do this, right? So let's say, so I'm going to construct it using the empty stack criteria. So there's just one state. It's also going to be the start state. Okay? And so what I'm going to do, right, is that whenever I see a 0, right, I'm simply going to remember it, right, on by pushing a marker onto the stack. So I can see a 0 if bot is on the stack, in which case not going to do anything to bot. Right? And I can see a 0 when x is on the stack, in which case I'm going to push the x. So I'm going to use this marker x in order to remember the number of zeros on the stack. Rather, in order to remember the number of zeros that I've already seen. Okay. And then whenever I see a 1, I'm simply going to pop. So if x is on the stack, then I'm not going to push anything. Right? And finally, right, so if I see bot on the stack, uh, uh, then I'm going to empty the stack. Yeah. So why is that we need one more state? So I think the question is that if we see a 1 at the beginning, right, then either the number of yeah. Uh, so parenthesis. I'm not sure what you mean by parenthesis. So the problem is that if I see, so since I'm remembering the number of zeros, right? If I see a 1, right, then it need not be the case, right? That the number of zeros is always greater than the number of ones, right? So I need to somehow capture that particular aspect, right? That uh, okay, so Moses is saying that we can use one more stack symbol. Okay, so let's say that we use one more stack symbol. So then what are the transitions going to be? So let me erase this. Okay. So the suggestion is that to use one more stack symbol, which is this y. Okay. So whenever I see a 1, then I'm going to remember the number of ones that I have seen using y. Okay. But then, okay. So Sanchit is suggesting that whenever I see a y and the top of the stack is 1, then I'm going to remember a number of ones. And then whenever I see a 0, but then that's the same problem, right? So if the number of zeros, right? So if, okay, along with earlier, right? Okay, I see. So we can have the previous one, and then stack will have x if there have been more zeros so far, or it have y if you have more zeros so far. Okay, so let's see. So let me write this down, right? So we have all the transitions from the previous case. So if I see a 0 and if there's a bot on the stack, then I'm going to push x. You see a 0 and there is an x on the stack, then I'm going to push x again. And if I see a 1, right, and if there is an x on the stack, then I'm going to empty it. Now if I see a 1 and if there is a bot on the stack, then I'm going to remember. If I see a 1 and if there's a y on the stack, then I'm again going to remember it. And finally, if I see bot on the stack, then I'm going to remove it. Okay. So is this correct? Or are there some transitions missing? Let's see, right? So from 0, I could have seen bot, I could have seen x. If I see 1, right? If I see a 0 and there's a y on the stack, right? That's missing. So if I see a 0 and there is a y on the stack, then I'm going to remove it. Right. So let's see one. I think I have covered all the cases, right? So yeah. So in this case, if we reach if we reach the end of the string and if I see a bot on the stack, then I'm removing it. So that so the language of this particular PDA through the empty stack criterion is going to be this language, where the number of zeros are equal to the number of ones. Okay. So this seems correct. So okay, let's move to the next example. So construct a PDA for this particular language. So this is a set of strings over the binary alphabet where W is equal to WR. So this is all the palindromes, right? Over W, over the binary alphabet, right? So the string so if you reverse the string, so this has this WR, then you get the same string as the original string. Uh, so how can I construct a PDA for this? Okay, so I have a suggestion from Sanchit. Okay, good. So let's see that. Right? So I'm assuming that this A and B are. So I'm assuming that A and B are the stack symbols, and then 0 and 1 are the symbols of the input algorithm. So uh, so I think that so there's just one state right here, and okay, so just one state and all transitions to itself. Uh, let's see, right? So let's see what Vineet has written. Right? So you basically remember, right? Whatever is the string that you have seen so far, right? Through this x and y. So x and y are the stack symbols, and x I'm assuming stands for 1, while y stands for 0. Right? Uh, so whenever I see a 1 and there's bot on the stack, then I remember it. Then whenever I see a 1 and there is x on the stack, then I again remember it. Yeah, so this will be yx. Yeah. So whenever I see a 1 on the stack and there is y, 1 on the input and there is y on the stack, then again remember this. And then for 0, I do the same thing. Right? So for 0 bot, there is x bot. and for 0 and x, there is xx, and then for 0 and y, there is xy. Okay. So why is this? I mean, you're just storing the entire string, right? So where exactly will the stack be emptied here? Okay, I see. So at some point, non-deterministically, you're going to store the string, okay, and then at some point you are also going to start. So you're going to store the string in the stack, and then at some point uh, you're going to start removing the contents of the stack. But there you will make sure that the symbols, right, the input symbols that you're reading match with the stack symbols. Right? So since one stands for X, right? Uh, uh, so one stands for X, right? So that's why if you see one and there's an X on the stack, or rather one stands for Y. I'm not wrong. Yeah, so one stands for Y. So if there's a Y on the stack, then you're going to remove it. And 0 stands for X. So if there's an X in the stack, then you're also going to remove it. And okay. And finally, if you reach the bottom of the stack, then you're going to remove that as well. Okay. Right. So this is almost correct, right? But there's another thing that you're missing here. So we should actually make an epsilon transition to a different state in the middle. This will also accept 0, 1, 0, 1. Why will this accept 0, 1, 0, 1? So if you're pushing X and then Y, right? 1, 1, 0, 0. In that case, you'll be pushing Y. Okay. So why will this accept 1, 1, 0, 0? Because after sorry, I see. So yeah, okay. So you might want to so at one, right? You can push it. You can push Y, and then you will remove Y as well. And then same goes for 0 as well. Okay, I see. So in the middle, you need to make a transition, right? So at some point, so at some point, right? So you can basically just keep on storing things, right, on the stack, and then at some point you need to move to a different state where you will keep on popping things from the stack. Okay. So let's do that, right? So I'm going to move to another state. Okay. And so these are the storing transitions, right? So these transitions I'll make at let's say u0, right, which is the start state, and then this transitions I'll make at u1. Okay, so is this fine? So is this by the? Are you still accepting by empty stack or by final state? Okay, so from Q to Q, I have all these transitions where I am simply storing things on the stack. And then from Q to Q prime, I make epsilon transitions. And then in Q prime, I simply remove things from the stack. Okay. And we accept for the empty state. Right? So I think that's exactly what I have shown as well, right? Except that this here, right, you make epsilon transitions without changing the whatever is there on the stack. So uh, okay. So now, right, in this example that you had, right, 1100, this won't be accepted, right? Because yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is correct. Right? And transitions from Q to Q prime on epsilon bot bot. Yeah, that's correct. So epsilon bot bot as well. Okay, so in Q0, right, you are so non-deterministically, right? So whenever W is equal to WR, right, that means that let's say 0, 1, 1, 0, then uh, at, in the middle of the string, right, you need to keep on storing stuff, right, on the stack, and so that's what we do in Q0, and then once you reach the middle of the string, uh, then you must remove contents from the stack, but whatever you remove, right, will be a mirror image of whatever you have stored. Right? So uh, that's why we have the transitions in Q1. Yeah, and this is only for even length, right? So that's another thing, right? So you also need to consider odd length strings. So what should we do for odd length strings? So let's say we have something like 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, right? Uh, so then, I mean, what you do, right, is very similar to what we have done here, right? Where you will keep on storing stuff, and then for one symbol, right, which is the symbol exactly in the middle, you're basically going to uh, not store it on the stack, right? Yeah, and then you're going to keep on removing. Okay, so Vineet is suggesting that for transitions from Q0 to Q1, I also add epsilon x epsilon. I'm not sure that's going to work. Okay, I see. So you will keep on showing this one, and then, okay, so epsilon x epsilon, and then epsilon y epsilon. So all of these are here, right? Okay, so in the case of the 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, right, you are also going to store the middle one, but then you are also going to pop it from the stack, right, without matching it, and then you are going to match the remaining elements. Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, so I think this seems correct to me. So yeah, thanks Vineet for this exercise, right? And yeah, so any questions regarding this construction? Okay, so I was going to do one more example, but since we are out of time, right, I am not going to do this. So this example, in fact, is a bit more complex. Uh, so this is the set of all strings which are not of the form WW. So in fact, this particular language, right, which is this WW, strings which are of the form WW, is not even a context-free language. So you can't construct a PDF for it, but we are considering the PDF for strings which are not of the form WW, since it's 0, 1 star minus WW. So this example, I'm not going to do it, but it's very well explained in the Cozen book. So if anyone is interested, can take a look at it, right? And see the construction there. Okay. Right. So with that, I'm going to finish the lecture today, and thank you, everyone. So as I mentioned in the announcement, right? So tomorrow I'm going to have the usual lecture, right? So there won't be a test.